Hello, welcome to another episode of A Few Minutes with Marvin. I inspire those who aspire to make positive changes in their lives. And in this video, I thought it would be a little fun to go over some of the words and terms that we learn throughout our spiritual path and journey. And not to go into in-depth about what they mean and why we use them, but for what reason are you using them? And what is your intention for using them? And do you refrain from using them when you're in different company? And why you choose to do that? So I think it'll be fun. Stay with me. I think it'll be fun. So I hope you stay tuned. So let's start with the most common and obvious word that spiritual people use out there, and that's namaste, right? So how is it actually pronounced? Well, I just learned today that it's namaste, right? So, but that's not important, right? I just like doing that just for my own edification and self-knowledge. I don't think I'll ever, make myself pronounce it namaste, but you never know. So, what does it mean? Most people use it to describe themselves as, saying the divine in me honors the divine in you. And that's not exactly what it means, but the sentiment is the same, right? It actually means, it's three different words put together in one in Sanskrit, and it really means I bow to you, or me, I bow to you. So, in essence, when you're on your spiritual path and you're using namaste, you're actually saying I bow to you, but now not bowing in reverence or bowing as in giving my control to somebody else like you would a majesty or a king, right? You bow to them in reverence or whatever. Whatever that hierarchy thing is, that's not what it means in spirituality. It literally does mean that you're just respecting that the other soul is in your presence. That's how I look at it, right? It's another beautiful soul. Doesn't matter what they look like, who they are, male, female, doesn't matter. When you say namaste, I honor you for who you are, regardless of who that is, and if I agree or disagree with it. So that's my interpretation of namaste. Another word that's commonly used throughout our journey, and it's one that's used for us, that we have to find these triggers, right? The word is trigger. What does trigger mean in spirituality? And how is it used, right? Oh, I was triggered, right? Or what, in our coaching, I'm a spiritual life coach, we say what triggered that memory, or what triggered that reaction, or what's triggering that pain, right? It's basically, what is the cause? What is the root cause? Not just the cause. What is the root cause for that pain to come up? What action is being brought to you or into your awareness? Or what words, right? Because it can be a word from your past that brings up a bad childhood memory. That's a trigger. They say, use trigger words. That the words that make you aware. So when you're triggered, what's making you aware? What are you aware of, right? Now you can suppress it and keep it down like most people do, or in your spiritual path, we encourage you to find out what that trigger is, right? Why does that word trigger these memories? Why does somebody else's reaction to you trigger you and make you angry, right? What is it? What is it that gives you that reaction instead of the response that you really want? So that's trigger, and that's very commonly used in therapy sessions and coaching sessions, and those type of things. But I use it on a regular basis. It just comes out of my mouth naturally, and I'm always, in the context that I use it is what is the root cause. So that's the word trigger. Why do we even need to have a different spiritual language, right? That came to me today. Why do I choose to use these terms and these words, right? Is it something new that I'm learning to replace something old? Is it that I don't resonate with the way we were taught that, to speak, right? Because there's a lot of hidden meanings in words and phrases and phraseologies. And that's true. A lot of words were constructed in a specific way to hold certain energies. And they're usually lower vibrational energies. So that's why I think it's important for you to know this information. And it's my information, it's my truth. Truth being word, right? Why do I specifically say it's my truth instead of what I believe? And a lot of spiritual people use the word believe, and that's cool. I'm one of them, and I struggle. I'm choosing not to say that word and replace that word. Why? Because the way it's spelled is, just for me. When you spell it, it's B-E, and then it's L-I-E. It's lie. So, in other words, for me, when somebody's telling you, oh, believe in yourself, right? It's almost like they're saying, oh, lie to yourself that you're good. No. I want to trust, or I want it to be my truth. My truth is that I'm happy. I don't believe I'm happy. That's a lie. For me. But just there are some words that have hidden meanings, and I won't go into that in this video. But you have to use it when it resonates for you, not just to throw it out there because it's a spiritual thing to do. It's my truth, right? It's not what I believe, and it's not something that I want you to judge, right? Whether you believe it or not. Well, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's my truth. So that's why I use it a lot. And if you listen to some of my videos and you're following me, I use my truth a lot. It's my truth. Because I also say this a lot in my videos. There is no right or wrong, right? Everything doesn't have to be a right and a wrong. If it's right to you, then it's your truth. If it's not right to somebody else, that's their truth about it, right? They're not wrong for thinking that that your truth doesn't resonate with them. It's just not theirs. It doesn't resonate for them. So it's not their truth, and it's not, but it is my truth. So we can both be right. And I know that's a hard one, and it's going to be a hard one for you to integrate if you choose to, because we've just been taught that everything's right or wrong, black or white, and yes, there are truths there, but specifically in the belief systems, I choose what's true for me versus what I believe or what you believe or what I've been programmed or trained to believe, to know as my truth, right? You have to identify those things and release them, the limiting beliefs, right? Why is it called limiting beliefs? Because they do, those beliefs, if they're not yours, are limiting you, right? And it's not your truth. So that's the one that's I've been consciously trying to shift, and you'll see some of my videos where I catch myself and I correct myself, but it still slips out because subconsciously programmed. It really is. It's just part of our language. And as a spiritual person, if you want to shift, sometimes you have to shift the way you speak, and that's what I do on a constant basis. Another word that's thrown out there is presence, right? So what is presence? How can you find presence? How can you be in presence? Eckhart Tolle talks about presence all the time. So presence is just being. And you say, well, I am being. but it's being without thought. That's really what presence is. It's just being able to, if I can stare blankly at this video, at my camera, and not think about the next thing I'm going to say for a few seconds. That's presence. Does it make sense to you now? And you can embody presence, right? Embody it anytime. You don't have to sit down with your legs crossed as a meditation to be in presence. Presence is just being where you are without worrying about anything in the moment. Or, if you want to sit with a tree without sitting in a tree and worrying about getting bitten by ants, by fire ants, or anything, like just being with that tree, right? Without having to move all the brush around or, find the most comfortable spot. Being in presence with that tree is you being honoring that tree, and that tree's honoring you. So you're both sitting there, right? The tree's not sitting there, but the tree's always there. It's always in presence, right? And the animals, if you watch them carefully, whatever they're doing, whether it's a squirrel eating an acorn, it's present with that acorn, and that's all it's doing. It's not wondering, well, sometimes it's wondering about predators, but that's the natural order of things. But 9 times out of 10, they're not paying attention to you, and they couldn't care less who you are unless you start walking towards them. Then, the fight or flight kicks in. But for the most part, they don't care who's watching them. They don't know who's watching them because they're in presence with what they're doing. So that's a really good way to shift the use of your word presence. So when you say I'm trying to embody presence, don't try. Say I was in presence. I am in presence. Right? Because when you're trying, then you're thinking, then you're not in presence. So I thought that's a cool one. And how about trauma, right? What does trauma mean to you? All our lives we were programmed. See, programmed is another word. I keep saying it now because let me touch on that one, right? I brought it up. Program. Whether we choose to believe, there's that word belief again, right? Whether we choose to whether or not you know it, we've been programmed all of our lives. And I'm not saying that programming's a bad thing, but from the day we were born, your mother and father influenced you with their systems of truth. What was true for them? That's how they raised you. And in some cases, if you went against that, that was a bad thing. Right? So you were taught not to share your truth or not to act in your truth, rather believe, right? So there's a lie. You were taught to believe. This is what I believe, so you have to believe it. So at some point in your life, you really have to recognize when things that you do just out of natural things, just naturally, have been programmed into you, right? And sometimes you'll be doing something and you'll be like, that doesn't feel right, but that's what I've known all my life. That's what my parents did, that's what my brothers did, that's what my friends did. Right? Now it's time for you to deprogram yourself and ask yourself, is that truly what is my truth? How I feel? And if it's not, then you know that you have to deprogram yourself and shift your thoughts. Right? Start using words like truth, but now they have some substance because it's your belief. It's your it's your truth. See how hard it is? It's not easy. But I've gotten better at it. And a few other words that I'll go into now. I don't want to make this a long video. But it's just to give you, some awareness of how you speak really does matter, right? And it's not about how other people's judging you, how you speak. It's how you speak from your heart and what truth it is to you, right? It's your truth. So I say a lot in my videos in the now moment, right? Instead of saying right now or yesterday or we in spirituality you shouldn't be looking back at the past. You can use it as a trainer, right, to teach you, but you have to cut ties with the past because it's always a now moment. Always. When it was yesterday, it was today. When it's tomorrow, it's today, right? So it's always today. So it's always a now moment. So I found that for me, it keeps me in presence, right? This is where I am. I'm not everywhere. I'm not yesterday and I'm not tomorrow. Do I make goals and plans, right? To have something to look forward to for my next now moment? Yes, right? And it's important that you do that. But for me, I'm always here now. And I don't want people to misconstrue that it was yesterday, right? When I speak about my past, I say in my past, right? But for the most part, I say in my now moment or in that now moment, right? Because even if I'm referring to something that happened yesterday, it was in that now moment, not in this now moment. Does that make sense? And I know it can be confusing, and I don't even know how I just adopted that, right? It comes from everybody that I listen to, all the audio recordings, the YouTube channels that I listen to, the material that I read in books, like the Eckhart Tolles and the Wayne Dyers, and the Neville Goddards of the world that I've listened to, Napoleon Hills. They all use this language, right? And it made a lot of sense to me, so I really embraced it because now that's my truth. So I always say in my now moment, and I also say in my now space, because you're not only just contextualizing that it's the now moment, but whose now moment is it, right? Because it could have happened in your now moment. So I would say in your now moment, because it's not mine. It didn't happen in my space. So now when something does happen to me and I want to share it to inspire somebody else, I say this happened to me in the now moment in my now space, because it was in my space that it happened. I'm not looking, it's not hearsay, it's not coming from somebody else, right? I experienced it. I was a witness of it. And I was in presence with it in that now moment. So it happened in my now space, not in anybody else's. Because what we really have to realize as spiritual souls is that all of our experiences are our experiences, even if you're sharing it with somebody else. If you're in a room with somebody else and you're having a banter and a conversation, you're both in the same experience, but that other soul is having a totally different experience with that conversation than you are, right? That from their perspective, the conversation is in their space, and from your perspective, the conversation is in my space. So it's a good distinction, right? Because in order to honor somebody else's truth, right, whether you agree with it or not, you got to recognize that it's theirs and it's in their world, and they're entitled to that. It's their truth. Conversely, it's your truth and it's in your world, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, right? Because we're all unique. So my truth is mine and yours is yours. So it's interesting, right? To the very least. And it's not about, now Marvin said I got to go, start speaking better. That's not it at all. This is just what resonates with me. And I know other people that use these terms and it just flows naturally, right? It has to feel right to you. but it won't feel right to you if you don't know that something else isn't the right thing for you. It's somebody else's right. It's somebody else's truth. So I thought that this was an important topic to broach, because it all comes down to what feels right for you, but you also have to see that it wasn't right for you, right? It was somebody else's right. So that's why I thought, I just thought, why do I use these terms now? Because they come so easily. And yes, somebody else brought them into my awareness. But if they didn't resonate with me, then I say that's their truth. But it does resonate with me. So now it's my truth. And I use them quite often, and they flow seamlessly, And you have other terms that flow. I'm using the law of attraction. I'm in the vortex, right? What's your feeling? Your energy, right? It's in my energy. It's my energy. What's your energy? It's your chi. It's your chakra system, right? And we can spend days on going over what chakra system means, and what's this and what's that, and why does that have to be. And here's the short answer to that. If you listen to a lot of multiple people and different things that resonate with you, their language may resonate with you, but it may not be the language that you're used to, right? That you were raised with and brought up with and taught in schools. When that's the case, and it's the case in most of our lives, I didn't use those words growing up at all, but now they resonate with me so deeply because they are my truth. They speak to my soul. And that's why I use them. So, and I purposely don't use them to, egoically, like, it's my truth. No, it's just my truth, right? Because when you do that, now you're looking just to have an upper hand on somebody, and spirituality isn't about having an upper hand on anybody. This is just me and my truth. This is the way I speak now, in my now space, in this now moment. In my past, I didn't, right? But it's not the past anymore. It's always now. It was then. So I really hope that you're having a giggle with this, as it's me speaking it is my truth, but it's kind of funny how it just became, right? But it's also my confirmation that I'm speaking my truth to you and to anybody else, and it doesn't matter in the long run if it resonates with you or not, because it really feels good to me, and it's the way that I express myself in the now moment. So I hope you had as much fun with this as I had making it. And if you are struggling, in your spiritual path to figure out what is it that you want to bring in from all this knowledge that you're getting, and what do you need to release in order for that to become your truth, I can help. I'm a spiritual transformation coach. Here's a link to my website. And in my sessions, I will speak the way I speak, and feel free to question me. So I'd love to hear from you. So enter your email today for a free 30-minute decompression session. Let's just get to know each other and talk and banter about and talk spirituality, right? It's a free session, and if you choose to go deeper with it, I have plenty of packages to suit your budget. If you're so called to do it for yourself, right? Because it's all about finding your truth. It's not my truth. This is my truth. So if you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and leave a comment. I'd love to know it. I'm not looking for to be judged on here, but if there's something funny on here, share it. I'd love to know how this came off to you, and what truth it spoke to you. So, and also subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to become a part of my member subscription. I'd love for you to become a part of my YouTube family, and just listen to what I believe is true. Just listen to me telling my truths, And if they resonate with you, fantastic, and you can incorporate them any way, shape, or form that you want to make it your truth, if it is your truth. So, be true to yourself, and have an amazing day.